Teacher, do you not care if we perish? They're afraid. The boat is being swamped. At least 4 of the men in the boat are fishermen. They are experienced at sea. They know that this is perilous. They're afraid of dying. Not an unreasonable fear, the fear of the ocean, fear of the sea in this case. And fears are often worse than the dark. They set out at evening, so it's presumably dark by now. They're also afraid that Jesus cannot help them. They have limited faith in his power to deal with this particular situation. Had it been sickness or a demon, sure, they might well have been confident that they were in no danger. But his power here. Teacher, do you not care if we perish? Wind and seas? Demons, yes, but what about wind and seas? Do you not care? The wildness of the ocean is that Old Testament image of untamed wildness, of danger, of that which is alien to man. And as the psalmist says, which I suspect the disciples in the boat didn't remember at this particular point in time, though one can hardly blame them for that, they that go down to the sea in ships and occupy their business in great waters, these men see the works of the Lord and his wonders in the deep. For at his wind the stormy wind ariseth, which lifted up the waves thereof. They are carried up to heaven, and down again into the deep. Their soul melteth away because of the trouble. They reel to and fro and stagger like a drunken man and are at their wits' end. So when they cry to the Lord in their trouble, he delivereth them out of their distress. For he maketh the storm to cease, so that the waves thereof are still. The psalmist looked forward to seeing Jesus in the Sea of Galilee. They're afraid, so they wake Jesus. He gets up, he turns off the wind. Great calm. Why are you afraid? Have you no fear? Which is to say, if you are with me, you need not fear. Not the wind, not the death, not the sinking of the boat. I do care if you perish. And you should know this. You should trust me. You should have faith in me, even if I'm asleep. After all, he is so trusting of the Father that he can sleep through the storm. His fear, anxiety, don't keep him awake. He trusts the Father, an example to them. But he's asleep. Did you notice that? We don't see Jesus sleeping very often, do we? The other times are usually he gets up from sleep to go off and pray in the middle of the night while others are sleeping. But here he's the one that's asleep. So that should suggest something to us. And I think what it suggests is that this points to Good Friday. Here he is asleep on the wood of the boat. There on Good Friday, he sleeps in death on the wood of the cross. The disciples need to learn to trust him now so that they will trust him then. Knowing his power over the wind, power over the laws of nature, allows them to trust him on Good Friday. Likewise, seeing his concern that they do not perish will extend to the reason that he goes to the cross, so that they live and not die. The parallel with Good Friday goes a little further. When he awakes from death on Easter Day, he gets up from the wood. He chides them for their lack of faith. At that point, they had not had faith in the word that he told them that he would rise from the dead. Here he says, where is your faith? So, then what happens? They were filled with awe. Literally, the text reads, they feared with great fear. They're not afraid of death anymore. Now, they're afraid of Jesus. But it's a different kind of fear. It's awe. It's reverence. I'm sure there is some fear of his power. Who is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him? Who is this? Are we safe with him? And yet they see that he uses his power only to protect them, for their good. It is a power of compassion. Who is this? That's the crucial question. The crucial question for us, as it was for them. Who is this Jesus? We have our fears and anxieties. Some of them are reasonable, some of them are rational. So how do we deal with our fears? And how do we live? Both of those are determined by the answer to the question of who is this? What think ye of Jesus? Do you think he has the power to protect you? Do you think that he's willing to see that you do not perish? And in our case, perish eternally, go to hell. Do you trust that he cares and that his care is powerful? You got to have both. Trust that he cares and trust that he has the power to do what needs to be done for us. Does he have power over our suffering, pain, poverty, adversity, sin, death? Or are we afraid of those things? If you think that he cares and has the power, then you will not need to live in fear and anxiety, but rather in trust in Jesus. The worldly fears, like the disciples had, are swallowed up in the reverence that we have for Christ. There is, after all, a certain awe that God, after all, should take interest in me and take enough interest in me that he's actually going to protect me from all these things. So, if you believe, then you will not need to live in fear and anxiety, but rather in trust in Jesus. Sounds easy, like falling off a log, but it isn't. There's a challenge here. Because of the old man within us who wants to control our lives, wants to provide for ourselves rather than letting him provide for us. Obviously, it wasn't easy for the disciples. No reason it should be any easier for us. So, we have to say, I believe, as we will shortly, but we also have to act out our trust in God. Do you live in fear? Do you fear for your children? For your own salvation? For our country? For the church? Do you fear? Not to mention the fears that arise when we wake up in the middle of the night and don't go right back to sleep and the mind starts churning away. Does Jesus seem to be asleep? Not listening to you? Not fixing things the way you would like him to? We need to fight the doubts. We need to be willing to trust. At the same time, we need to remember that we are in the boat with Jesus. For us, the boat is the bark of Peter. And he's with us. He's in the boat. He does care. He is powerful. He is managing all of the things of this life to bring us to heaven, that we may so pass through the things temporal that we lose not the things eternal. So trust him. Trust his love for us. He shows that he's worthy of our faith. He has the power, and he has the compassion. Let him love you. Love him back. Trust him.